No, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. I, of course, am Mr. Warren Hayes, and kick back, saddle up, sink in, I don't know, just get ready, because we're going to be talking about professional wrestling here. That's what we do on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. Talking about professional wrestling for a couple of hours or so right here on youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes, or on your favorite podcast application, wherever you decide to consume the media juggernaut. That is the Mr. Warren Hayes show. Thank you. I'm there. I'm here. I'm in your ears. I'm in your eyes, depending. Likes and subscribes on YouTube would be tremendous. A like on YouTube helps out a lot. A 5-star review on Apple Podcasts helps out a lot. A 5-star rating on Spotify helps out a lot. Everything, every one of these tiny little gestures helps out a lot. As I've been saying, helps out a lot. Helps out a lot. Helps out a lot. I hope you're getting the message. It helps out a lot. But you know, just you press and play and letting me invade your senses for a short time is a tremendous privilege. Thank you very much. I look forward to creating quality audio content for you here as we get going. Look, on top of it all, I ask you for all of this, but I give back. I return the favor. I'm also capable of returning to you, the favor of you giving to me. I give back, not only with this, extraordinary podcast that you tune into every week, but also in the form of a wrestling Discord where you can come and chat and have a nice little time. The link is in the description. We would love to have you there, of course. And yeah, I mean, look, in case you're new here, I've been doing this for a while, and I'm kind of back in the saddle of things. If you're wondering, Warren, when are you going to start doing live streams again? Because that's how I used to record the Mr. Warren Hayes Show before the incident that happened earlier this January. I'd pop on Tuesday nights. I'd record for 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever the hell, and then that would be that. But things change, and I have to, I'm still recovering from said health incident, which was heart related. So I look, if you're wondering if I'm going to get back to doing live streams, I honestly don't know. I really don't know. Maybe, I'm not going to lie. The good thing here while recording this offline, is without an audience, basically, is that I get to take a pause here and there. I'm like, okay, I need to, walk around. I need to go do this. I need to, sometimes just, break away, reset myself. I'm not gonna lie, heart surgery it changes things. Stuff that I used to be able to do without even blinking. I'm like, now, oh geez, okay, this actually requires effort. So I'm not gonna lie, like there's this this quality, this advantage of doing the offline recordings, but I'm not gonna lie, I miss popping on the live stream and having a live chat there and people goofing off and then interacting and so on and so forth. I legitimately do miss that. So I'm absolutely not saying I will never do it again, but I don't know when I'll feel comfortable enough to do it again. Especially knowing, like, if I trusted myself enough to say, like, okay, you're getting online, you're doing 2 hours and that's it. If I trusted myself enough to do that, that would probably be super, super chill. That'd be probably super fine. But knowing me and how I run long on things and how I, go off on tangents, I don't entirely trust myself to have, I'll get swept up in the moment and then push and push and push. And then when I'm done, I'm just going to be an exhausted shell. I don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's difficult. I'm saying that what I'm saying, I don't want to give you the impression that I'm saying, oh, streaming is so difficult. I know there's a lot of talk about that. That's not what I'm trying. What I'm saying is my overall energy levels are still very fluctuating. Very fluctuating. That's not a way to say things. Are still fluctuating. And even look, this weekend had a lovely Mother's Day. Shout out to all the mothers, by the way. Again, that's weird, but I had a lovely Mother's Day. Had a little brunch gimmick thing with my mother, my immediate family. We all, nothing out of the ordinary. And plus I had, I was discharged of doing any cooking. I didn't do any preparation. So, it was very nice. And yet at some point, after we were done, I was like, okay, I have to go have a nap. Like I was completely spent from just hanging around, like not doing much. So like I said, like it's just weird. And I wouldn't want to start up a stream and have my energy level suddenly decide to crash, and then I have to cut the stream or everyone feels awkward. I'm like, oh, I'm not feeling great. And then people call 911 and then it becomes a whole mess. No one calls 911. You know what I'm trying to say. So, but I miss it. Like I legitimately miss doing live streams. I want to do them again. I want to get back on that horse. I think it's, that's kind of always been my calling card, recording live. And I've always enjoyed it. I want to get back to doing that, but we'll see. Look, the important thing is that I'm still doing the podcast, right? Isn't that just like the best thing, the best baseline news? Yes, it is. Thank you. You're welcome. Okay. Today, whenever you're listening to this, on the show, we're talking New Japan Resurgence 2024. We're going to be reviewing that. I'm also going to take the time to break down all my thoughts about New Japan at the same time, which I haven't really had an opportunity to do because, reasons, but I'm going to take the time today. We're going to chat up the Best of Super Juniors 31 tournament that is also happening in New Japan right now. We've got, as I'm recording this, 2 nights in the can. So I'll give you some thoughts. We'll talk about the standings and so on and so forth. And there's a few little news bits that we're going to get to. So we might as well get to it. These news bits by starting off the weekly wrestling inspection. We are going to start by talking about Vince McMahon's lawyers opposing Janel Grant's motion to strike that she released not that long ago. In fact, here's the story. Brandon Thurston, I believe it was yesterday, the 13th, reported that Vince McMahon's attorneys have filed a new memorandum opposing Janel Grant's motion to strike McMahon's earlier statements, which attempted to discredit Grant and her case. Now, if you recall, not that long ago, a couple of weeks, April 23rd, McMahon's team lodged a 29-page filing requesting that Grant's complaint should go to private arbitration rather than be heard in court. They argued that arbitration was required in line with the original non-disclosure agreement. The next day, of course, April 24th, Janel Grant's representation filed a motion asking the court to strike the entirety of the preliminary statement in McMahon's filing, calling it inflammatory. McMahon's team has responded with its formal opposition to the motion to strike. Monday's memorandum states that the earlier defense document contains, quote, relative context to the motion to compel arbitration, and that Grant's motion to strike is, quote, meritless and the height of hypocrisy, unquote. Vince would know about hypocrisy. So, the formal opposition also states that McMahon no longer has the text messages that Janel Grant had released on her official filing, because he deleted them when the relationship ended. However, it adds that discovery will show that Grant sent him sexually explicit images and messages. Here's the quote here from the filing in that regard. Plaintiff presumably still has all of these text messages, but she did not include them in her publicly filed complaint because she wanted to paint a distorted, false picture. Since then, Janel Grant's attorney, Ann Callis, issued the following statement to WrestleNomics, saying, quote, "For any comment, see our original filing. We're confident the truth is laid out well there." Quote. So what does all this mean in plain, simple English? Well, basically, McMahon's team is responding to Janel Grant's team's filing that they did on April 23rd, excuse me. On April 24th, pardon me, to strike the opening statements that McMahon made within the filing, saying that they were, as she said, inflammatory. So the idea is just to strike that from the record, because they felt it was baseless and was just character assassination, basically. That's not the term that they used, but that's essentially what they were saying. So this here was in response to that motion to strike, this official response here, basically saying, nah, we're not backtracking, and basically saying, the texts, she basically saying, she still has the text. Vince doesn't have them anymore. But she still has the text, and we'll see that within the context of this, of these proceedings, we're going to show that that she sent these and she was complicit in all this and so on and so forth. So that's essentially it. To me, this, like when we talked about the motion to strike, what was it, last week? I think it was last week or the week before. I can't quite remember. But the last time we spoke about this, I said, well, this feels very procedural, right? Very legal procedure-y. Someone puts down a thing and, counsel sort of challenges what the things that are added to the record. And, I feel like it's something that has to be done. I'm assuming this is par for the course. And then the other party responds back to that response, and they say, no, we're not budging, and whatever. I feel like this is all regular, typical wrangling. I'm not an expert, but this is how it comes across as. The interesting thing that we've learned here, or at least that was added to the extra little bit of information that was added that we weren't privy to anyways, that Vince doesn't have the texts anymore. He deleted everything, apparently, once the relationship was done. I wonder if Vince was like, it'll delete everything for both of us. If he had been using something like, I think WhatsApp, you can do that, like you can delete messages for both people. And can't you do that on Signal or Telegram or like one? But obviously they were using like just plain old iPhone messages, and it's like you're stuck with them, right? But I'm pretty sure. Look, I'm not entirely up to date on. Yeah, I use WhatsApp, and I feel like you can delete messages you can delete messages in WhatsApp for yourself. They'll only disappear for you, or you can delete messages for both people, right? And I think you can even make them time sensitive. Isn't that like on fucking Snapchat? And isn't that like I think that's a thing with Signal and or Telegram as well. But I've never used them, so I don't know. Like, you know, I couldn't say exactly, but I feel like that's a thing. If they had been, you know, my point being is that did Vince just like delete the message, the conversation? Then all evidence has been destroyed. Thinking that it'll delete on her side too. He can't be that dumb, right? Am I just creating a persona here? Probably. But it would be funny. And then he's like, well, goddamn, how come she still has the texts? I deleted them. You deleted them on your phone, sir. And you know, look, you know, a lot of people, a lot of Vince defenders, and they're out there, and there's more than you think, are waving, are pumping their fists, going victory. You know, of course, Janel Grant took part in this. You know, she just wants to drain this poor innocent billionaire from money. You know, she was complicit in all of this, you know, so on and so forth. I think it's important to remember that, you know, these text messages are evidence in a larger case. Like the case here is not Janel Grant received, you know, is suing Vince because of some texts. The texts are part of the larger problem. She's suing Vince because, well, he didn't follow up on his NDA. Plus, she felt she was abused. She felt like she was taken advantage of, abused, exploited, sex trafficked. Those are the conditions here. Now, if you are under a state of duress, right? If you are under if you are under the thumb of someone who's abusing you, you can and will willingly play along. It's like if you recall the love letter that she wrote to Vince, and then a couple of days later broke off the relationship, right? Or a week or shortly thereafter, this incredible 500-word love letter, like the relationship was broken off, right? And she even, you know, texted Vince to say, I'm trying to write, but my thumb is injured and I don't know if I'll get to you on time or something to that effect, right? You can and will play along with your abuser because that's how that type of relationship, that sort of dynamic works. You know, it's not a thing where you always completely feel like where you're always standing up to your abuser. No, usually when you stand up to your abuser, that makes things worse. Now, so in this circumstance here, it's an interesting little, you know, an interesting little addendum to the entire Janel Grant lawsuit situation, but it you know, by no means is this suddenly like, aha, we got her. And the thing is that this still might not be that still might not be we still might not actually find out what exactly happened because this might all go to arbitration. Because let's not forget, this arbitration thing might actually is very likely going to happen unless the judge really does throw it out. Because after I had done recording last week, all four parties in the lawsuit, we're talking about Janel Grant, WWE, Vince McMahon, and John Laurinaitis, filed a proposed stipulation in order regarding deadlines and the like. But Brandon Thurston, again, doing a fantastic job covering all of this, pulled out this little tidbit here, this little interesting little thing here in the filing. This is what it says, quote, WWE also anticipates filing a motion to compel arbitration and stay this action pending arbitration, unquote, which removes any doubt that all three defendants, this is what Brandon says, which removes any doubt that all three defendants will be moving to compel arbitration. So, as we talked about last week, Laurinaitis, being, a craven stooge, flipped and decided, no, we're going with arbitration. Now, WWE didn't officially file the motion, but said in regards to this filing that was, this procedural filing that was made, also mentioned that they are likely going to go to arbitration as well. So, by all accounts, this is what's happening. And what I find particularly egregious here, what I find particularly outrageous is that WWE here is going to be joining their former disgraced boss in arbitration. This guy that they're spending so much effort on making sure everyone in the company, everyone who follows this company knows that Vince is gone, right? He's gone. He's not just gone. What was the thing? He's not just gone. He's gone. Batman is no longer with us. It's the Paul Levesque era, right? That's why we're seeing Triple H everywhere. That's why Triple H is opening WrestleMania and coming out to fucking, start off shows and they're calling it the Paul Levesque era. Just so you make damn sure that, oh no, we don't want anything to do with Vince anymore, and yet here we are. They're going to join their disgraced former boss in compelling this case to arbitration. So, there you go. This is where we're at today, May 14, as I'm recording this. This is where we're at today in the ongoing story of Vince McMahon's, of the Janel Grant, I should say, lawsuit against Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, and WWE. On the subject of WWE, two WWE executives have left the company over the past few days. First of all, PW Insider reported that Michael Levin is gone from the company. Levin was the vice president of international events as well as general manager of emerging markets for the past 7 years. He had been working out of WWE's offices over in London. Now, PW Insider speculates that his position was just phased out due to the merger with TKO, right? And this is something that was to be expected on multiple levels. We had talked about it, and it just became all the more clear when it comes to consolidation in companies. When you merge companies together, there are redundant positions. So there was clearly, no use for Levin to continue in that position. Levin, according to the Observer here, had previously worked for Ticketmaster and Live Nation before joining WWE, so I'm sure he'll be fine. Then Fightful reported also reported this week that Steve Rubin had departed from the company. Rubin was a senior director of TV event relations and had been with WWE for 26 years. I'm not quite sure what, senior director TV event relations is, what that means, I don't know if that's some kind of liaison between television companies, and I don't know, but clearly this guy was probably seeing himself as a lifer, quarter of a century with the company, was told to hit the bricks. I really don't know. I don't know if this is part of the restructuring again. I don't know if this is just how WWE plans to move along, that since they're changing their strategy in regards to live events and their broadcast fees, let's say with Netflix, for instance. Maybe you just don't need a guy running TV event relations. Honestly, I'm not quite sure what that entails, what that is. So I don't think there's much, there's much to glean here outside of outside of, two guys just losing their jobs. One guy, which is clearly due to restructuring within the company. And the other guy, 26 years. I don't know. Maybe there is something a little more to it, but personally right now, I do not see it. Cash Wheeler's not going to court. Good for him. PW Insider reported that Cash Wheeler's trial will not be going forward. I think we learned this yesterday, right on the 13th. A filing was made by the prosecution to drop and abandon the case. PW Insider says there's no word as to why the prosecutors made that decision or why it took them until the week before the trial to drop prosecution, because the trial was slated to take place on May 20th. All of these proceedings have been canceled. Wheeler's bond has been released, and the case was officially closed yesterday afternoon. So should we do the joke? Is there a joke to be made here where we dodge a bullet? I don't know. Maybe it's not in good taste. In any regards, I don't think it's very funny, so I won't make the joke. As you may recall, Cash Wheeler was arrested in August 2023 after a warrant for his arrest had been filed in July. He originally filed a plea of not guilty in the circuit court of Orange County, Florida, and turned himself in on August 17. He was arraigned the next day. He was basically being prosecuted for what in all appearance seems to be a road rage incident where he flashed a gun to a guy in traffic. We'll probably never learn more about it, until these guys are in their 60s and they're doing shoot interviews. Someone is going to talk about it at some point. But that's essentially the situation here. Good for him, I guess. I don't know. It's Florida, man. It's like it's Florida. What more do you want? It's just kind of par for the course. There's the case is closed, no legal repercussions. He doesn't have to stay in the country. He hasn't been there's no trial. He hasn't been found guilty. He's fine. The case will just move on. The reasons why they were abandoned, I don't know. Florida. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I look like some kind of legal wizard. I don't know, but good for him. I guess that's why we're moving forward with FTR doing all sorts of stuff, and no one's really worried about where this is going. I don't know. We're flying through topics today. Jeez, is anyone watching the King and King Queen of the Ring stuff? Is anyone watching it? No one in my circles, in my immediate entourage of pro wrestling aficionados is watching this show or this tournament. It's tournament season. Best Super Juniors going on. WWE has its own little thing here. Is anyone watching it? Let's pull this up. Let's have a look, see. Because I do like a lot. I love tournament wrestling. Now, you can't get, it doesn't get any simpler, as far as sports-based presentations go. It doesn't get any simpler than tournament fucking wrestling, right? I know where we're at in the standings here, right? It's like, I've seen how these are. I see how these things have been going. I've been following from afar. I know people got really upset that they put, what was it, Kofi Kingston and Rey Mysterio out on a house show, right in the first round bracket. And they also did it with Shayna Baszler versus Maxine Dupree, right? Because it was supposed to be Zelina Vega, but Zelina Vega got injured. So she was out and she was replaced by Maxine Dupree. And I think a lot of people, are wipe the sweat off their brow and, grab the little hanky and moisten the droplets away from around their eyes. When you get really, really hot and you have those droplets that form around your eyes and they're doing this, whoo, whoo, They could squirrel Maxine Dupree away in a house show so she doesn't have to stink up the place on TV. What do you want from me? She's not good. I've said it once. I'll say it maybe not a million times, but as many times as needed. Whenever Maxine Dupree graces my lips and enters my mind space, Maxine Dupree stinks, and she should not be on television. And whose problem is this? Whose issue is this? It's not Maxine Dupree. Maxine Dupree, former cheerleader, is that what they're still called? Dancer, performer for the Phoenix Suns, whatever they're called. Cheerleader for the Phoenix Suns. She comes in, they bring her in, she does a tryout, she goes to NXT, she's a valet for Von Wagner with fucking Stone, Mr. Stone. And then next thing you know, like within a year or so, she gets called up to do the maximum male models with LA Knight, who was Max Dupree, right? Wasn't that? Who cares? And then they say, oh, we're going to get you to wrestle when she cannot because she hasn't had any matches, any training. Now, whose fault is this? Is this Maxine's fault that she is out there on Monday Night Raw? Being drafted? No, it's not. This is the thing that no one wants to talk about for some bizarre reason is that this is WWE jumping the gun and having her skip any kind of training they could give her to put her on television and that'll work out. When in reality, she is so not even close to being ready, it is effectively hurting her. Because she's not good. She's exposed. She's terrible. I think she doesn't even have that much. She doesn't have any real charisma. She has no connection. She doesn't even talk well on the mic. Like, I find she has nothing to offer pro wrestling. But that's because she is a literal baby in the business. Well, not literal. She'd be an actual baby. But she is a figurative baby in the business because she hasn't had any experience. And people are surprised when she gets booed or when she gets no reactions. No, she stinks. And I don't understand what her fans, because they're out there, but her defenders see in her other than a perception of what she could be or what she represents as opposed to what she is. I have no use for her. Whose fault is it? It's not Dupree's fault. This is WWE putting her into situations, throwing her into situations that she can't win. They are not setting her up for success. It's really bad. Anyway, didn't want to go on that long of a tangent, but Shayna Baszler moved forward, but she lost to Io Sky on Raw. Lyra Valkyria's moving forward. She defeated Zoe Stark. I kind of like Zoe Stark more. I think Zoe Stark is a more complete performer. Because that's on the Raw side, right? The semifinals on the Raw side are Io, Sky, and Lyra Valkyria. Then on the men's side, they had Kofi and Rey. And look, okay, so yes. So the point that I wanted to make is that people were mad that that these matches had been relegated to, that there had been first round matches relegated to house shows. And I'm like, no, this is fine. Who cares? Like, if anything, it helps make the house shows feel important. It's like, you're going to get, on this house show, you're going to get at least one match that will have repercussions on TV. And it's going to be Kofi Kingston and Rey Mysterio in this case, or Shayna Baszler and Maxine Dupree. Now, what does that say about how WWE perceives Kofi Kingston and Rey Mysterio? I think it says a lot. I think, again, it's a thing where, sure, go right ahead. Add these matches on your house shows. I think it's tremendous. I think it's a very good idea. But then you're like, okay, well, this is what they think of these people. This is what they think about Kofi. This is what they think about Rey. They're just fine. Their match doesn't have to be televised. It just has to move forward. Anyway, Kofi moved forward, but he got defeated by Gunther. He's in the semifinals, and Jey Uso defeated Ilya Dragunov. Pro wrestling in 2024, fellas. He lost to Jey Uso. Dragunov lost to Jey Uso. And the semifinals are Gunther versus Jey Uso. As you know, I am completely off the Jey Uso train. He has been all hype, all bark, no bite. He could 23 skidoo out of the company, and I wouldn't blink for a second. I think he's been in big time positions. You know, WrestleMania, he had a big time singles match against his brother. It all tied into the bloodline and all this, and they laid an egg. And then he has his match with Damian Priest at Backlash France, in one of the matches where they came close to losing the audience. That match stunk. I mean, Jey Uso is the very definition of failing upward. Like, he goes out there, has these bog average standard matches, despite having been the beneficiary of a push and having these great reactions, his yeet stuff, and people love the yeet. And despite all of that, he doesn't live up to the hype. I think he's not good. Now he's going to get into the ring with Gunther. I hope Gunther fucking, goes full on. I hope Gunther goes full Walter on him, if you know what I mean. And he's going to lose, right? He has to lose. Uso, I mean, he has to, right? Gunther's winning this shit. Look, what's on the other side here? Randy Orton, Carmelo Hayes. Is Randy doing the JOB here? Carmelo Hayes defeated Baron Corbin. Not exactly, tearing the house down here, but does Carmelo Hayes move forward? I know a lot of people think Carmelo Hayes is the next coming of, I don't know, the next coming of Dynamite Kid, of Jushin Thunder Liger. He's fine. Don't get me wrong. He's not the superstar people making up. But then again, like, this is a fine little mid-card tournament, right? This is what it's for. It's fine. If he wins it, it's fine. Then you have LA Knight versus Tama Tonga. I Eli Drake versus Tama Tonga in 2024 on national television. I hope Tama has his working boots on. I hope he's ready to go. I mean, it's going to be Gunther and LA Knight, right? It's going to be big heel, top baby face, right? Has to be. Or are they doing Jey Uso versus Tama Tonga? Oh my God. You know what? There's something. Tama Tonga versus Jey Uso. That's tremendous. Then on the ladies' side, who we have left? Nia Jax versus Jade Cargill. Oh my God. That's one of the semifinals, one of the quarterfinals. Oh Lord, that's happening on SmackDown this week. And Tiffany Stratton versus Bianca Belair. That actually has the potential to be good. But Nia Jax versus Jade Cargill, unless they have Jade do the thing where she just comes in, throws a kick and does the feat of strength and body slams Nia, and unless she squashes Nia. But if they decide to go 10 minutes with this, who did Jade Cargill defeat? Piper Niven in 5:23. And then what do you do for the semifinals then? Do you do Bianca and Jade? Which is actually probably the safest thing to do because Bianca can make sure that... Because Jade's winning this, right? Jade has to win this, right? Jade has to win this. They have to start doing something with her, right? Otherwise, what? Tiffany Stratton? Sure. But Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill? I mean, Tiffany's good, don't get me wrong, but I don't think she's good enough to carry Jade through a match. If things start to break down, Jade is just going to shut down. She won't know what to do anymore. Bianca, the true star of this women's division, the athlete, the WWE superstar of choice here. If she gets in the ring with Jade, when I say we, they're safe. They can do whatever they want. Bianca will guide Jade through a match. I don't know how good it's going to be, but she'll have her back. She'll watch out for her. She'll highlight the strengths. She'll cloak the weaknesses. Can Tiffany Stratton do that? I'm not sure yet. But I mean, look, there is something to be said about Tiffany Stratton being the queen of WWE. They're going to lean in hard into that, and look at what they did with Zelina Vega. They'll probably do the same thing with Tiffany Stratton, Anyway. That's where we're at in the king and queen of the... but I do want to point this out, though. Okay? There have been 5 wrestlers who were pulled from the tournament because they were injured, not medically cleared to compete. Xavier Woods, Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, Zelina Vega, and Asuka. All within the moment that this was announced to where we got to today, right? And how many injuries have happened in this company since WrestleMania? And I'm not kidding. These 5 here, and I'm sure I'm going to forget someone here, but Seth is out with an injury. Jimmy Uso out with an injury. Again, like I'm sure then these 5, that's 7 people since April that are gone from the safe company, right? The company that has this performance center that makes sure that everyone works super safe. that there are no injuries in WWE, that everyone is safe. Again, I'm sure I'm forgetting someone. I don't want to forget someone. Here, let me pull this up here. I'm sure I'm forgetting someone. Let me pull up a roster here. Of course, well, you know, Dominic. That's 8. You know, we're talking since WrestleMania, right? Cruz del Toro is also injured. That's 9. Rhea, that's 10. Rhea Ripley. I was forgetting Rhea Ripley. That's 10 people. Since WrestleMania, just within a month, 10 people are injured. And people are going to say that the AEW's crazy ass antics, you know, WWE is the safe company. Now, this is not a question of safety. This is a question of the rigors of pro wrestling. That's just how it goes. But all these injuries sort of happening at once. You sort of wonder. Something not good going on right now. Anyway, King, Queen of the Ring, injuries in WWE. It's a hootenanny. Injuries are not a hootenanny. Look, I don't want wrestlers to get hurt. That stinks. It's terrible. You know, I want wrestlers to have long extended careers. You all know this. But when I'm told that, you know, all these injuries in AEW could, you know, they should go to the PC and learn how to wrestle, and that despite all of this, all these wrestlers still get injured, and we got 10 injuries happening within a month. No one's blinking an eye. No one's saying WWE is unsafe. I'm not saying WWE is unsafe either. That's absolutely not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that this company that touts itself on, you know, working safely, making sure that the wrestlers don't go out there injured and so on, it's bullpucky. It's horseradish. It's just the rigors of the business catching up to a lot of these people. A lot of these people who are, you know, on top of it all, you know, not spring chickens either. Bobby Lashley, how old is he? 47. You know, I will never look like Bobby Lashley at this stage of my earthly existence. But you know, the older you get, the more injury prone you get. Drew's 38. That's fine. You know, Asuka's in her mid 30s, right? Holy shit, no, she's 42. So it's the same thing. These are just things that are going to happen, right? We just blew by those things. We're ready to talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling's Resurgence event that happened this weekend in Ontario, California at the Toyota Arena. It happened on May 11th, 2024. 3,024 people in attendance, according to the company. But WrestleTix was reporting at 2,000. So what was? I'm super prepared today. Look at me. Look at me being super prepared. WrestleTix is reporting. Let me see here. They did their final count. Final count. Tickets distributed 2,886. So a slight discrepancy. It's nothing out of the ordinary. You know, of course, New Japan's numbers are going to be a little more inflated. Just by 160 or so. So what are they counting staff? Are they doing like WWE does? Everything with a heartbeat gets counted, you know? I'm going to tell you straight off the bat. I don't think this was a good show. I didn't think it was a good show. And I think I had put a lot of faith in this show because I thought Windy City Riot was a good show. I thought that was fun. So I was like, oh, Resurgence, there's some good stuff here. I think I'm going to be excited for this, and I was, and it just completely underdelivered. I don't even think it was a good show, and it just compounds the fact that I'm very, 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 very low on New Japan Pro Wrestling these days, which stinks, because as I've said, my favorite wrestling promotion is New Japan, and it has been for years consistently, but following New Japan these days is a test of faith. It's like Job being swallowed by the whale kind of thing. That's what happened to Job, right? Yes. Or was it Jonas? No, it was Jonas and the whale. Or is that just the Weezer song? Or is the Weezer song the biblical reference? I'm losing it, I'm telling you. Like, no, Job was just suffering, right? So not a whale, because ultimately, yeah, because Jonas, it's Jonah and the whale. I'm gonna keep all of this bullshit in, just so that you know how confused my mind is sometimes. So it's Jonah and the whale, but Jonah was swallowed by a whale, but then spit up on shore, and he was thankful that his life was spared, and he saw it as an act of God. Job he suffered for he suffered for the he gave all his wealth away. He wanted to suffer for God, right? Like he did that willingly or something. It was something to that effect. I don't know. Look, my analogies are all over the place. But the point is that watching New Japan these days requires, I find, a little, you have to have a little, you have to be actively searching for the good, and you really latch on to the good. I try to stay optimistic about it, but it's really hard. Like, there's some things I feel strongly about, and I feel that I'm correct, that I have the right vision on things. But just so happens sometimes I feel I'm right, whereas a lot of people disagree. Such as Shota Umino versus Jon Moxley being done in the United States. A lot of people think that match should have been saved for Japan, saved for Dominion, which would have marked the 5th anniversary of Mox and Umino coming together. They would have had this little bit of history. Sure. Okay. And it's they may basically making the argument that this match should have happened in Japan. Whereas I truly believe that this match was better suited for North American audiences. I think Shota is much more over in North America because of his affiliation with Jon Moxley than he is in New Japan. Now, I'm not saying that he's not over in Japan. I'm saying there's something a little more meaningful to Umino and Mox for us foreign viewers than maybe over on the other side. So I thought that as a main event for this show, it was a good call, because I think it story-wise, right, connection-wise, I think it made more sense to do it here. Now, was it a good call And was it a good call when you look at the attendance figures? That we can debate about. That we can have a little chat about. 3,024 people? What is the capacity of the Toyota Center in Ontario, California? It's an 11,000 seater, right? And 3,024 tickets sold. That's not good. That is not good. And I say sold, I mean distributed, right? Because we don't know how much this show was papered. We have no idea. But for New Japan's inroads, Windy City Riot did a really good gate, but I think it had a more robust undercard. Whereas this was, you can wonder, was this really a good call? Was this really a good match to main event a pay-per-view, a show of in North America? 3,000 tickets is not great for an 11,000 seater. What was the attendance for Windy City Riot 2024? 6,000 according to Cage Match, right? 6,028. Like the Chicago show did double. I don't know. I'm basically breaking down my own argument here, saying, I think it was a better match. I am of the belief that Umino versus Moxley was a match better suited for North America, but it doesn't do great business. So what do I know? Maybe they should have saved this for Japan. I still argue that it was that it was better suited for North America, especially if Shota is not winning. I think Shota taking an L in North America is better than him taking another L in front of the Japanese faithful, his country people. I think this is the least damaging situation for him. But you can't imagine in this circumstance that New Japan is happy with the turnout here. And they got to wonder, what the fuck did we do wrong? Now, the match itself turned out to be great, but this show, if we talk about the show first and foremost, this show on TV, on pay-per-view, this show was bad even from a production value. This did not help. Bad production, terrible camera work, terribly mic'd audience, and missing shots and having these weird camera angles, and it was just a bad production. Camera quality stinks. I had the impression I was watching a higher end indie, and this is a fucking New Japan Pro Wrestling. What was I listening to recently? Anyway, look, I'm trying to make a parallel with another. I listen to so many podcasts and stuff. Sometimes I forget minute details, but someone was talking about, what show do you share with someone? What show do you share? Oh, it was on the flagship. What pro wrestling show would you share to a non-fan to get them into Puro, to get them into Japanese pro wrestling? Well, I'll tell you what, not Resurgence 2024. Because if only on a basic level, the noob fan is going to look at this and say, what are we watching right now? What is this nonsense? And the commentary, listen, I thought this was one of Ian Riccoboni, one of his worst outings. I thought he was grating and screechy. And Veda Scott, and a lot of people give a lot of grief to Veda. I don't know. I guess I'm kindler. You know, I'm much more forgiving. And that, and the fact that oftentimes I listen to pro wrestling with the volume turned down very low, and then boost it back up, let's say, when things get really, really interesting. But most of the time it's very low. You know, I thought Veda was not very good either, and she's toned down a lot of the screaming that she'd do. Like, she'd yell a lot, maybe not screaming, she'd yell a lot. But I felt like she brought it back, and I felt like it dragged the screeching out of Ian. I don't think this was very good. I think production-wise, this entire show was a drag. It was bad. It was not good. But, you know, despite a very middling undercard, it had a tremendous main event, which is capped off by setting the stage for Jon Moxley versus Evil. I know I'm all over the place right now, but let's get all of these elements out of the way, and then we'll get to matches, right? It caps off with Evil and Ren Narita attacking Moxley and Umino in the ring, and then Evil staring down the title, right? And frankly, I'm looking at this a little dumbfounded because for, you know, this ends the show on such a weird note, on the promise that your next New Japan main event is going to involve Evil, which is a fascinating proposition for me. And I know a lot of Puro fans are very divided on it. They don't know exactly how to feel about it, but you know, they're either they don't know how to feel about it, or either they're House of Torture is fine, you know, they sell a lot of merch, and they can't stand House of Torture. I personally lean on the side of I cannot stand House of Torture. The problem that I have with Evil and his group and their shenanigans is that all the bullshit that they do is what I'm avoiding by not watching WWE way back when. We're talking when I started really getting into New Japan, when I started watching, I was like, this is yes, there was Bullet Club. That's fine. But the idea is when you get into this because into Japanese pro wrestling, because you're going to get matches, you're going to get winners and losers. There's not going to be tons of nonsense and shenanigans and lights going out and people popping up and spooky shit and interference right and left. You're gonna stay focused on the thing. Everything that turned me off of WWE, that turned me off of WWE, can be avoided by watching Puro, specifically New Japan. And that was a solace for someone, an oasis for someone like me. A nice little patch of land, fresh, refreshing, out in the desert of nonsense that permeates North American pro wrestling. And I'm going to start throwing AEW into this pile as well. Although, they still have a very good track record of putting on, straight up great matches. Just look at last week's Collision. My God. But, all of what North American wrestling represents oftentimes is avoided. And that's what that's why I turned to Japanese wrestling. So if we have main event situations, and you guys know the bloodline stuff when Roman was champion and you know, there'd be interference on top of interference on top of interference, and we'd be just waiting for Solo Sikoa to run in and all the bullshit. This is what we're getting now with House of Torture. So if we're getting House of Torture in main event situations, I can't get excited. I can't be rubbing my hands together and go, oh boy, what a way to close Dominion. Like, this shit stinks. This shit legitimately stinks. And it's fascinating to me that this is the path we want to go on for one of New Japan's biggest shows of the year. Arguably the second biggest show of the year, Dominion is, right? Especially when you consider that you have people out there that are ready to receive accolades and appreciation from their fan base and are just and they're there and they're ready to go. Zack Sabre Jr. is out there and he's ready to go. Shingo Takagi, he's out there. Sure, he's neverweight champion, but that's fine. And, you know, Shingo is great at, and that's the point. Shingo is great and he's ready to go. And he's credible too. When you have all the young studs in that company who are not only raring to go, but your audience seems to be pleading with you. Do something with them. Do anything with them. Why aren't you? We're going to mark the 1-year anniversary of Yota Tsuji, who I am incredibly high on still, because he's got too many naturals. He's got anyway, we're on the 1-year anniversary of Yota Tsuji. We're closing in of Yota Tsuji coming in to New Japan and challenging Sanada and having his first match at Dominion for the world title. We're coming up on that. Does Yota Tsuji feel any more special? Does he feel any more bigger than he did 1 year ago? I think he's grown in stature and confidence. I think his in-ring presence is tremendous now. I think he's really accepting it. I think his energy he's coming off as as an alpha, he's a shark and he's ready to devour him, but he's still, being flip-flopped all over the place. Sure, he won New Japan Cup. That's great and all. But there's no ongoing push. Shota Umino, the other bright spot, same thing. And he's been, if anything, it's been worse because this guy's been eating nails right and left. Oh, we're all waiting for the G1 war and the G1. Well, you know what? Fuck you, the G1. Last year, everyone was expecting the G1 to be the time to shine for the young guys. And look what they fucking did. They put Hikuleo with the fucking block quarters. They put Hikuleo in the playoffs. I honestly do not have any faith when it comes to this fucking heavyweight division. The juniors, whole other story. But these guys here, the heavyweights, the guys who are supposed to be carrying the upper crust of this company, that are supposed to be the attractions, the main events, the semi-main events, the people you turn into. This is what happens. And then on top of that, you add in tons of uninspired shows, like the Dantaku shows, where you belt back up Kenta and Chase Owens. Like, what are we doing? What is the thing? We're hot-shotting. I don't give a shit about hot-shotting titles. When they keep bouncing back and forth to wrestlers you really don't care about, that no one cares about, that don't draw, that don't generate buzz, that don't generate interest. These shows are weird. Look, it's like everyone on these shows seems to be putting in half efforts. They seem to be putting in half-assed efforts, right? And not even the young guys seem to be bringing a spark. You know, everything seems, very normal. Look, we can talk about Shota Umino all we want and his weird presentation with his, slapping the fans and his distant look as he's doing it. Like, we can talk about all of that, about him specifically, but it is something that you're like, something feels off, When ELP goes into the audience and starts hugging old ladies and high-fiving kids and that shit, you're like, okay, now that's a guy who's creating a crowd connection. Why is this guy saddled up with a guy who's just waiting for a call to head over to NXT? What are we doing here? He's saddled up with a guy who's on the cusp of, fighting Brian Pillman Jr. on a weekly basis in a warehouse in Orlando. We're like, what are we doing? This is, everyone seems to just be complacent. It feels like there's something going on backstage. I don't know if it's someone who's, I don't know if this is, I have no idea. I don't know. I have no information, but it almost feels like managerially backstage, there's something happening. There's something permeating this entire outfit of New Japan Pro Wrestling that is keeping everyone from, exploding, having a true to form moment, right? The booking doesn't help. Like I said, it's all over the place. It's schizophrenic. No rhyme or reason. The energy from the locker room is just flat. And I don't think it's just a question of, AEW stole Will Ospreay and Kazuchika Okada away. Let me ask you something. How many people would be clapping their hands going, hell yeah, another world title shot for Kazuchika Okada at Dominion? I promise you, if he had never left and he'd still be around, people would be going, Okada's a good choice, but it's Okada again. I swear to God, that would still be the situation. Will Ospreay? Probably another thing. That's a point I will concede. If Will Ospreay had still been there and we were like Jon Moxley versus Will Ospreay everyone would be like, oh, this is going to fucking rule. Because Ospreay is doing the legitimate best work of his career. And unlike Okada, hadn't been burnt out on New Japan main events yet, right? But I don't think it just lies in this situation, in this thing where people are like, New Japan, their two top stars were taken away and everything is breaking down. I don't buy into that because New Japan has so many people that they could literally flick the on switch. Gedo could sit back and go, and just legitimately go for it. Some of the young guys, Takagi, Zach, just off the top of my head. Stop putting the boss in matches. God bless Hiroshi Tanahashi and everything he's done for pro wrestling and New Japan specifically. He carried this company on his back. It's fine. It's time for him to just move away, do his own thing. If he wants to do his little tag team with Bolt and Oleg, that's fine. Please. I think that's actually a real good use for him. But there's guys that could still go, like Tomohiro Ishii. I mean, they're never going to pull the trigger on that. He's done. He's a gatekeeper style. He's going to go out. He's going to have a great match. He's going to carry people to great matches, and he's going to go home. That's what his role is. But what are we doing with, ELP is a guy that I still believe in, that I still absolutely believe that there is something there. We talked about it. We were talking about it last year before Dave Finlay started taking over Bullet Club, how much of a similar trajectory ELP has been on in New Japan to Kenny Omega's. Coming in as a junior heavyweight, being a member of Bullet Club, then turning to heavyweight. And I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up leading Bullet Club to do the full emulation. But ELP is beloved he has a great fan base, and he's a good wrestler, and he's got everything. Again, these are things that are mysteries to me as to why Gedo is not pushing. And Yoda, you could do anything with Yoda Tsuji and the audience would buy into it. You could do anything with him right now. Same thing with maybe not as much with Shota, but nonetheless, Shota is there. Might as well use him as well. Ren, I think Ren is a lost cause, and I think Yuya still has a ways to go. Yuya Uemura, Narita, but on the junior side, you've got Kosei Fujita, who's having a fantastic run so far. Sure, we're only 2 nights in, but he's already involved in one of the best matches of the tournament, of the Best of Super Juniors tournament. We'll talk about that later. There's like this generalized effort to either not build new guys properly or not put the guys we want to see in big places. Are we waiting for the G1? Are we waiting? God damn it. I mean, there's so much in between you can be doing. Thank goodness the juniors are there, who are doing some great business so far with the Best of Super Juniors. But let's talk about let's talk about the main event of Resurgence, okay? Which is legitimately the bright spot of the show. Which of course is, as we mentioned, Jon Moxley defeating Shota Umino to retain the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Look, I like this match tremendously. I thought it was fantastic. Regardless, and it's not one of these situations where it's like, oh, finally, we got a good match on the show, so I'm going to rate it a little. No, like this was a legitimately great match. They both worked to their own respective intensity, and Shota out the gate, not waiting for John to finish his little introduction. He goes for it. No respect, no friendship. They're just going for it. Violent, rugged, just good stuff. Shota works knee in the match, and I thought the first 10 minutes were really well paced. With Shota being in control quite a bit. He does an elbow drop off the top rope through a table on the floor, which was a tremendous spot. I love the spot where Shota is waiting, to strike Jon Moxley off the ropes, right? Like Moxley is having trouble getting back in the ring, trying to beat the 20 count, and Shota goes on the top rope. And you're like, oh, he's gonna jump down on him. What kind of crazy? What's he gonna do? But no, he's just waiting for Mox to get back into the ring, so that when Mox gets into the ring, boom, he's like jumps in with I think it was just a drop kick, like a missile drop kick. I thought it was great. I thought it was a really good spot. Avalanche butterfly suplex by Shota Umino. There's this great attrition fighting spirit final sequence, and they're just going at it, dropping power moves, chopping each other. Umino kicks out of a Death Rider. Blaze Blade follows, but Mox fights back and wins with a high angle Death Rider. I thought this was just tremendous pro wrestling, two guys beating the hell out of each other. One guy who's got everything to prove, the other guy who's on top of the world, mentor versus student. You know, we heard all the word, you know, all the terms, the final exam, so on and so forth. Umino didn't make it. He didn't ace his final exam, but we got a fantastic match in the meantime, right? Hard hitting. It showed its best match in New Japan, like by far. And I think the thing here is that this is the kind of match that you expect also out of New Japan, especially out of your main events. This is what you expect. Intensity, grueling matches, hard fought, you know, guys beating the tar out of each other. You see the sweat flying off of them. That's the kind of stuff that you expect out of these matches done by some of the best pro wrestling in the world. Like I said a little early, New Japan has long been my favorite promotion because their wrestlers are world-class athletes, the best of the best, produced from that, you know, from their dojo that is just an uncompromising factory of great pro wrestlers. WWE wishes the PC had that kind of output. And that's what you get in the once you watch these shows. This is what you get. You get these incredible matches, these incredible main events where guys are just pouring everything out. It was a tremendous main event. It's a one-match show. I do not recommend the show, but I do recommend watching this match. Excuse me, what is this? Leaving it in. The only thing you get to the full Warren Hayes health decrepitude experience on the show. You have Mox working like Mox does. When you know, motivated, exciting, good Mox. This was exactly what you're looking for. When Umino worked, like I said, the best match of his career here. And this is a guy who I had signed out of. I had signed away of, you know, that Naito match. You know, I still bring it up sometimes, but the Naito match he had that one time, I was like, look, if the kid can't get a good match here with Tetsuya Naito, what are we even doing? But not unlike Tsuji, whose presence, I talked about Yota Tsuji and his confidence, how his in-ring persona has become bigger and much more confident. He's much more poised. Shota Umino has gone through the same type of transformation, but it's not as blatantly obvious as Yota Tsuji, who is just like, you know, the alpha. You know, it's like, that's the difference. Shota is the star, like he's the electric babyface star that you want to root for. But he's got to stop being an underdog. Shota has to stop being the underdog, the guy who's learning. Oh, he's on the come up. He's got to be a guy who is going to get big guy wins, and consecutive and multiple, not just once every 3 months. And then lose, you know, to fucking Jack Perry and the House of Torture, and you know, none of that shit. You know, I don't think he's been hurt in any way, shape, or form in this match. Again, it's just one of these matches where it shows that he's capable of elevating his game, of going to another level. So do it, Shota. You did it with Jon Moxley, who is a tremendous wrestler. You know, a guy that I really like to watch perform, but he's not He's not a Will Ospreay who will drag you up to his level and then raise the roof even more. Like, he's not one of those. He will work with the other guy. Like, he's a veteran guy. He will work with the other guy, but John is not a, he's not a multicolored palette like Will is. So I'm not saying that, I don't want to insinuate that Shota carried him. Far from it, but or that Moxley is a sack of pudding. But if Shota is able to have this great a match with Mox, like, be on his level, that's what I'm trying to say. If he's able to be on a John Moxley level of great match, what is he doing? Why is he holding back? Why is he not unleashing this beast in every match he's in? I get it. He's with Mox. Mox likes the kid. Christ, they put it over so much. He's like part of their family. He likes the kid. So he's going to do his best to put him over. And I understand that. But there's a lot of credit that has to be given to Shota here. And I think he has, I don't know what he's hiding. I don't know what's holding back sometimes. But for most of these guys, and I don't know. I don't know. I feel like we got these types of matches in New Japan all the fucking time. The last 4 or 5 matches of a card, they just be bangers like this. What's happened? What's happened to New Japan? Where I'm like going gaga because, again, great match, but I felt like New Japan used to be nothing but this. It'd be nothing but this. It'd be that we'd have more Shingo Takagi versus Gabe Kids. Again, I don't know what's going on. And then after the match, Evil and Ren Narita attack. We've already talked about this. He challenges John for the title, and it's official for Dominion. In case that wasn't clear. In case you thought I was making up scenarios in my mind. There's no. The semi-main, should we talk about that right now? Might as well. Eddie Kingston versus Gabriel Kidd. Gabe Kidd. First of all, before we wrap up Mox and Umino, I gave it 4.5 stars. I like that match, so I'm very high on it. I really like this match. Eddie Kingston versus Gabe Kidd, not as much. No ropes, last man standing. And I was expecting something to click here, something to turn up. I was poo-pooing on the Ntaku shows. I reviewed them last week, but everyone will know the glowing praise that I gave Shingo Takagi versus Gabe Kidd. And I will continue to reiterate the points. I am higher on Gabe Kidd than a lot of people I hang out with, than a lot of my contemporaries. I will take Gabe Kidd hooliganing it up. I don't know if that's a word. Hooliganing it up as he's coming to the ring, showing some spark, some life, some ferocity. I'll take Gabe Kidd over all of the other passive nonsense that happens in New Japan these days. All of these, stoic. I don't know how you call them. Stoic. What's the word I'm looking for? Focused, I guess. Personas, and then translates into the ring, and it's all the same thing. It's we're being methodical. I'll take Gabe Kidd over that anytime. These days, Gabe Kidd is a is a palate cleanser. Now, in the context of this match, I don't know if it was much of a palate cleanser. I guess this was good. I think it was a good match. Like a fine match that not bad by any sense of the imagination, but I don't know, like uninspired maybe. See, this is what's wild about this match to me, is that everything that I am saying is all the things that I'm saying is that are happening on the rest of the card. Weird booking, uninspired, so on and so forth. It happened in this match with the guy who I felt was bucking the trend in New Japan. I know he's very off-putting to a lot of people, not to me. I find that he's a breath of fresh air. And yet he ended up falling victim. He ended up coming into this situation as, I don't know, a lot of people on a lot of New Japan cards these days. He didn't stand out. I don't think it was a particularly fun, no disqualification match. Maybe my expectations were higher considering the two men who were involved. I mean, look, they're throwing chairs early at each other, and Eddie Kingston blades early, and so immediately right there, my hopes start going through the roof, right? Where I'm like, oh shit, this is going to get really fucking brutal. Eddie Kingston eventually, gets some implements and starts using them over Gabe Kidd, and Gabe Kidd bleeds as well. But you know what annoyed me, I think, in this match? I think this is what annoyed me the most. And I understand why they did it. Don't get me wrong. I understand the story they were trying to tell. I understand storytelling in pro wrestling. So I understand it. Just because I understand it doesn't mean I like it. But Eddie and Gabe would often, multiple times, stop the referee from finishing the 10 count, right? They both did it on multiple occasions. And at someone like, oh, what the fuck? You do it once, you do it once, then your opponent does it once because you did it once, so he's going to do it because he want to continue, it's a game of one-upmanship where it's like, you thought you could fuck me up, well, I'm gonna fuck you up now, kind of thing, But they did that so many times. And I was like, just end the match. I get it. It's a blood feud. They want to. It's a blood feud. They want to destroy each other. They want to make sure that nobody beats the 10, that the other guy doesn't beat the 10 count. They want to hurt him really bad, but multiple times it took me out of it. And then there's this really long segment where Gabe Kidd is looking for something under the ring. He's looking for something. And then he goes from one side to the other side, to the other side, to the other side, and then back to the original side. And he pulls out a chair and he tosses it in. And I'm like, was that all he was looking for? A fucking chair? What is he looking for? What was supposed to be planted that he can't find anymore? Sorry for the popping. And all it was, I'm thinking this must be some incredible implement, something that must have such an incidence on the finish of the match, right? Whatever he's looking for that he is unable to find must be such a crucial piece of the puzzle of this match that we're botching it if it's not there. We're throwing the match from its original great creative finish, but all it fucking was was a chair wrapped in barbed wire. All that for this? I mean, he pile drives Eddie Kingston on it. That's, sure, I get it. But it's not done. The match is not done. And the chair wasn't even used in the finish of the match. This tremendous spot. Like this match has one bonkers spot where Gabe Kidd suplexes Kingston off the apron through a table on the floor. And the way they land on that table, Christ! Like that was a frightening spot, but also an awesome spot. That's how Gabe wins the match. Eddie is unable to answer the 10 call. So he is your new strong openweight champion. I get, like, you know what this kind of reminded me of these humdrum ECW arena hardcore matches. You had the really, you had the really hot ones, right? You had the Tommy Dreamers and the Ravens, and you had the, etc. But then you'd also have sometimes these ECW arena matches that was just like, what am I looking at? What is this? Let's move on, and it kind of stunk. I don't know. It wasn't bad, but it really didn't get the blood pumping. I'm giving it the gentleman's 3. Yeah, big pop on my end for the table spot. That was tremendous. But other than that, man, so now, excuse me, Gabe Kidd is champ. He's ready to move on. He's ready to move on into his role as champion. And Eddie Kingston, look, this is what's been happening. 2023 was the year of Eddie Kingston. Had all these great things happen to him. Became a Triple Crown winner in AEW. Now he's losing his titles. And just as people started to get upset when he started dropping titles, I will reiterate my feelings on Eddie Kingston, who is another guy I really like. Eddie's at his best when he is in the chase, as opposed to being the chased, when he is the chasee, as opposed to being the chased. Eddie on top of the mountain is great and all, that's fine, but that's not where he excels. He excels when he's in the struggle, when he's riddled with self-doubt. That's when Eddie Kingston shines. So I have no issues if he's going to start cutting promos on, man, how did everything come apart so quickly? I just lost my mojo, my confidence. I have to find myself, whatever the fuck. And in an Eddie Kingston gate as well, which is not my. I'm not gonna try and impersonate Eddie Kingston. Let me tell you. Let's just put it that way. So yeah. That's that was our that was the second from the top, second from the end, I should say. Let's go through the card in the natural order then. Let's just start from the top. I did watch the pre-show. I don't have much to say on it. Although Mustafa Ali defeated Leo Rush, right? Matt Vandegrift defeated Adrian Quest, but Mustafa Ali defeated Leo Rush, which I thought was an interesting booking and interesting positioning on the card as well, because Leo Rush and Mustafa Ali are two very well-known stars in North America, and they're opening up the show. Now, again, the strategy of doing a pre-show, or as they call it in New Japan Strong World, by doing a buy-in, that's exactly what it's for. We're going to show you some great matches, and if you want more, come on over, buy the pay-per-view, and get in on this. So if you're putting Mustafa Ali and Leo Rush on your free pre-show, that might get people to go, well, what the fuck then? This has got to... for getting these guys on the pre-show. What's on the main card, That's the strategy. But I can't help but find it interesting nonetheless, right? Leo Rush, who was very close to getting signed to New Japan, so incredibly close. And then stuff happened. Again, like an opportunity slips through his fingers. Not quite. I heard that he was sick. I've heard other things. I can't speak on it. I don't know. But I think it's interesting that he's back on the pre-show in New Japan, a company that was ready to invest in him. Like, he was tearing it up last year. In New Japan, was having fantastic matches with Hiromu, and his tag team with Sho was very dynamic. Was like everything was sort of clicking for him, and he was very close to getting the deal. And it's a good fit for him. New Japan's a good fit for Leo Rush. Don't let things get askew here. Things fell apart. They didn't really work with each other, and now it's like, oh, here he comes. We'll give you a book. What exactly is this? Is this a booking? Just like oh, here you go. We'll give you, Rocky saying, yeah, sure, we'll throw you a bone kind of thing. Or is this, okay, well, let's see if we can work with each other again. Here's a little test here. Here's a little something for you. Let's see if we can work with each other once again. Maybe. Because his match with Ali here, I thought was very good. It was short. It was short, but it was good. And the thing with Leo Rush is nobody thinks he's untalented or doesn't belong on a paid contract with a big time wrestling company. I know I tend to avoid making sweeping statements, but I don't think anyone reasonably, like outside of behavioral issues and so on and so forth, if we're talking strictly in-ring talent, what he's capable of doing, I don't think anyone would disagree with the idea of Leo Rush having a contract with a big time wrestling company, being paid money to do what he does. If only he could get his shit together. That's all. I said it once before. I think pro wrestling is better off with Leo Rush in it. And, he kind of has to get his act together. He's not, he's about to exit his 20s. It's time now. The Leo Rush eventually will have to slow down. Not yet, but eventually will. Now's the time to capitalize. I will always pop for jackhammers being used as a traditional move. I always will. I I loved there's this one spot in this match where Ali escapes a pin after a frog splash by doing like a matrix slide kind of thing, but he keeps his back turned to Rush, and Rush immediately gets back up and lands a poison Rana, and it was just fantastic, smooth. Ali gets the win with the finish with the feet on the rope. I don't understand heel Mustafa Ali. I really don't. I don't understand it at all. Natural baby face. Been screaming about it for years. And now that he's unfettered and released from the constraints of WWE creative, he goes into a tired gimmick to begin with. One which I think people are not necessarily going to be very excited about. In a short while, they're going to be more annoyed by it than anything else. Seeing, election years and whatnot. But just abandoning like the great babyface persona that he has, it doesn't make sense to me, man. None of this makes sense to me. I don't know what he's doing. But this was a good match. This was a very good match. And after Mustafa Ali attacks Leo Rush, and then the lights go out, and then Spooky Leo is in the ring with black ooze gurgling out of his mouth, and he laughs maniacally. Blackheart, the Blackheart. What does he call himself? This is his demon, right? The demon to Finn Balor. This is the Black Heart to Leo Rush. He's spooky and he dribbles shit on you. I could have done without that, especially since Leo, again, Leo Rush is a guy I really like, and I want to root for him. But then he turns around and he cackles like he has the worst maniacal laugh. Like there's nothing anyway. Then moving on to the main card, Tomohiro Ishii. Evil, Jack Perry, and Ren Narita defeated Rocky Romero, Tomohiro Ishii, and the DKC. I thought Jack Perry looked good in this match. I don't have many thoughts. Fun little match with minimal House of Torture nonsense, not gonna lie, but they had some good stuff going for a fun time here. I gave it 3 1/4. And of course, as I mentioned on the podcast last week, here we go. As I said last week, Evil hitting the town, coming to North America, doing a trios match in the opener. What did I say? Go back and watch the tape. If Evil wins in his trios match, he is challenging the Jon Moxley for the title at the end of the show. That's exactly what I said. Go watch the tape. The West Coast Wrecking Crew, Jarrell Nelson and Royce Isaacs, defeated Fred Rosser and Tom Lawler. I thought this was a really fun tag team match. I thought, I don't know, cage match is surprisingly low on it. But I thought this was really fun. And listen, there's something that has to be said about West Coast Wrecking Crew at this point in the context of New Japan Pro Wrestling. They're good. They're good. And they're better than Kenta and Chase Owens. They're better than Hikuleo and ELP. Hikuleo and ELP can do the odd couple buddy shit as much as they want. This is a real tag team that deserves more attention. Like this, the IWGP tag team, heavyweight tag team division has never been a bastion of great tag team work. But if you've got one under your employ, what the hell are they doing losing their time doing this kind of stuff, right? They've never even been on the strong on the strong tag team title radar, and they've worked the brand, the strong brand, since the beginning. They're a great duo, and they worked hard, and they work hard, and they worked hard here. They do the pile driver elbow drop combo for the win. I thought this was a blast. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I'm glad Nelson and Isaacs got some shine here. But I'd like to sit here and tell you, oh well, they're clearly moving into the mix. I don't know. I don't know with this company anymore. I'd have these guys working tours in Japan right now. What's like the next show in the US that outside of Forbidden Door is what? Capital Collision in August after the G1, right? So what are these two guys going to do in the meantime? Going to sit on their fucking hands? What is this? Got a whole tour coming up leading up to Dominion. Put them on it. What are they doing at Dominion? They're doing like a tornado tag team 4-way with fucking Bishamon and TMDK and ELP and Hikuleo and Chase Owens and Kenta. Basically the whole fucking division, right, is going to be in one ring. We'll talk about that when we get closer to the event, but I am not into that. Gorillas of Destiny. El Fantasma and Hikuleo defeat TMDK to regain the strong open weight titles. Who cares at this point? TMDK won them just at the Dantaku show. It's like a week ago? 10 days ago? You know why? Look, I've said so much stuff about Hikuleo at this point. I don't know what else I can add. I'm trying to find my notes. Give me a second here. My notes are confused because I started watching Best of Super Juniors. Then I was interrupted. Then it was time to watch Resurgence. But I didn't catch Resurgence from the beginning. I had to rewatch like the first few matches. And then I went back to Best of Super Juniors. And then I went back to finish Resurgence. So my notes are all confused. Bear with me. Those are pages curling the pages. So I'm looking for the. Now, despite the weird decision, there's some great two-man team offense here by TMDK in this match. It had a lot of energy and a lot more energy than usual ELP Hikuleo matches. Dynamic final stretch. I just have no idea why they're putting the title on these two guys again, especially since everyone seems to be in agreement that Hikuleo is gone or is going. The guy who beat all the guys, all the future guys in his block in the G1 last year. He's in the bricks. He's going to work he's going to work for Stamford. He's the guy hitting the bricks. The other guys, though, they're all sticking around. All the other guys he beat, they're there to pick up the pieces, try to make something. 3.25 stars. Stephanie Vaquer defeated Alex Windsor to retain the strong women's title. They had a very capable wrestling match. Was hard fought, physical, and quite diverse as far as moves go. Vaquer retains with the package backbreaker, 3.25. Good little match. Nothing wrong with it. Tetsuya Naito and Yota Tsuji defeated Kenta and David Finlay. You know, you're there for the Naito shenanigans. Excuse me. Just choking up and down here. You're there to see Tsuji be a guy, you know. You're not there to see Kenta. David Finlay's a drag. There was a good stretch between Yota Tsuji and David Finlay, I thought, in this match. But otherwise it was fine. Naito pins Kenta after a rough Destino. Boy, oh boy. Our boy Naito needs more and more help. Like Kenta didn't help him. But Naito needs more and more help trying to get these Destinos off, let me tell you. So does this mean that Tetsuya Naito and Yota Tsuji can challenge for the tag team title? Like, who cares? Like, honest to God. 3 stars. Zack Sabre Jr. defeated Hiroshi Tanahashi. This was a pretty good match, you know, considering everything in regards to Hiroshi Tanahashi in 2024. But we've seen this match not that long ago. We've seen this match not that long ago. And now they're doing it again. And Zack Sabre Jr. and Hiroshi Tanahashi have had much better matches in the past. So, look, it was well worked. It's the kind of match where I'm going to give 3.5 because I thought the work was good and there was heat to it. But it's like, ultimately, this is going to be relegated to the past and no one will ever speak of this match ever again. Jeff Cobb defeated Lance Archer to retain the New Japan World Television title. So when this match starts, there's this incredibly beautifully sloppy Spanish fly by Jeff Cobb. And I'm like, it's so good in how sloppy it was that I'm suddenly terrified that these boys are going to kill each other. But Lance here really slows things down. Lance Archer was not ready to work. And look, he lands the blackout on Jeff Cobb, which is pretty impressive. Jeff Cobb lands the spin cycle. Like when they're lifting the other guy up, you're like, oh, this is tremendous, right? And Cobb gets the win off the Tour of the Islands off the rope walk. But Archer really worked slow here. It was an odd match. I saw what they were doing, but holy smokes, they could have gone harder, faster. Like this didn't feel like a 15-minute sprint. It felt like these guys were ready to go Broadway, you know? 2.75 stars. Tomohiro Ishii comes out at the end to challenge Cobb for the title. Because let's not forget, and I still stand by this, and it's up to him to prove me wrong. But Jeff Cobb as TV champion, as I said last week, I'm all for it. I think it rules. See, I would have waited for the Ishii match. This is how I would have, I don't fantasy book, but this is how I would have booked Jeff Cobb. You have him fight, guys who can easily take a loss, right? The guys who Jeff Cobb can beat fairly quickly, and it's fine. Yeah, Yujiro, let's say, or we're going hard with Yujiro. Look, Shane Haste, okay? You put him in there with Shane Haste. You put him in there with who's Kanemaru. Guys who, it's an open weight title, right? So you put him in there with guys that he'll just be able to plow through. Get the Jeff Cobb. Yeah, Zach's thing was beating guys in 15 minutes. Why can't Cobb come in and get a couple of really definitive, powerful wins? Not squashes, but a good enhancement match where the other guy tries his best, but Jeff Cobb is too strong, too powerful. So 5 minute, 6 minute matches. Thank you, good night. And then after a couple of matches like this, then he gets like the Tom Ish. Then he gets the Aaron Hanare. Then he gets one of those where you're like, oh, finally a challenge, kind of thing, which then goes the 15 minutes, right? How long was this match? 11 minutes 35-ish. No reason. Not that there was no reason. This match went way too long for what they were doing. Way too long. Especially in this context where, the TV title is supposed to be the sprint title. And Jeff Cobb going through sprints, it's invisible. You can see it. It makes sense. Plus, it would be awesome. It'd be convincing. A completely, in the same spirit of Zach's reign, where Zach was, I'm going to pick you apart within 15 minutes. It's the same, and we have these great wrestling sprints. Now we have these great destruction sprints. I just want the product to do things. I just want the product to do things. Yeah, Shingo. So did I say yes? Tomohiro Ishii comes out to challenge, and that triggered me. Shingo Takagi defeated Yuya Uemura to retain the never open weight title. I think a lot of this match was the story of it was the far more experienced Shingo Takagi doing whatever the hell he wants with Uemura, right? And to the point that in a lot of circumstances, Yuya would pull out offense, they turn into errors. If we're using baseball lingo, they turn into errors because Shingo could spin it around and use it against them, right? And even after his comeback, Shingo Takagi is so much in control. He's fixing his hair. He's adjusting his tights. He's just doing whatever he wants to this kid. Really weird made in Japan spot at some point where it seemed Yuya didn't know how to take it. And then Shingo did it again. And it also looked kind of off. I'm like, well, what are we doing here? What's going on? And the match comes to, the match comes to an end. Despite Yuya's resilience, that was the story here. It wasn't that he was putting up a fight. He was just like, he doesn't want to stay down. He's got fighting spirit, whatever. Match comes to an end when Shingo lands a running lariat, drops to the ground on it, and holds on into a full 3 count. So, I understand what they're doing here. They're establishing history here. That Shingo took him out with a lariat. Yuya couldn't quite get the job because Shingo was Shingo, right? And they're going to, this is the kind of stuff that New Japan has a tendency to revisit down the line. But I thought the match was a little sloppy. Good match nonetheless. I thought Yuya was particularly a little sloppy. I'd give it 3.5, maybe 3.5. And that was pretty good. But again, like missing another gear, I think it could have been, it could have gone harder. It was a strange story that didn't quite connect because I don't think Yuya has the babyface connection to make this kind of thing really, to get people to invest in this type of match. I don't think he has that babyface connection. So as you can see, a lot of my star ratings are fairly positive. And yet I will tell you this was not a good show because I should not be watching New Japan Pro Wrestling and feeling a lot of things, seeing a lot of things happen which are fine, but don't have the oomph to it. Don't have that extra layer of energy, of determination, of those flashes that make New Japan great. It was only the main event, which again, I highly recommend you seek out and check. 34-minute match. That was a breeze to watch because it was a lot of fun. But still not a show I'd recommend. I really didn't like the show. I didn't like this show. I don't know what to tell you. That's it for New Japan Pro Wrestling's Resurgence. Why don't we wrap things up? Speaking of New Japan, why don't we wrap this up with some Best of Super Juniors talk? Because that tournament has kicked off. It has started. It started on May 11th. We've got 2 nights of action in the can right now. We already talked about the participants last week in the blocks. So look, if you don't want to be spoiled for, if you're trying to catch up and you're listening to me and, well, stop listening because we're about to talk about results and so on and so forth. So you've been warned. Here we go. Block A right now at the top. We have Blake Christian. So again, 2 blocks, 2 nights in. So everyone has wrestled 2 matches. Blake Christian and Titan are at the top with 4 points at the top of Block A, right? With 4 points. Clark Connors, Hayata, Kevin Knight, El Desperado, Kosei Fujita, and it's Fujita. I have to follow what Chris Charlton is saying. Kosei Fujita. Stop calling him Fujita. It's Fujita. And Yoshinobu Kanemaru all have 2 points. Bushi and TJP have the goose egg. Block B has Kushida, Ninja Mac, and Taiji Ishimori at top. Then with 4 points. Dookie, Francesco Akira, Robbie Eagles, and Sho all have 2 points. And Hiromu Takahashi, Dragon Daya, and Drilla Maloney all have 0 points in Block B. So far, as it stands, the juniors are a breath of fresh air. Earlier I was talking about, I mentioned it, but let's be clear here. The heavyweight division is not cutting it right now in New Japan. I think the juniors are doing a pretty good job overall, and I think they're doing a great job making sure that these shows are well put together and that we have some great matches at the tail end in the business end of the cards. Now, right now, I thought overall, and I'm aware of what I'm about to say here. Night 1 wasn't all that great. There was 1 great match on the show. Again, everything's confused here. Yes, there was 1 great match on the show, but night 2 was significantly better, where I thought everyone brought some game. And we had 2, in my opinion, 2 great matches. What are these great matches? If we go back to night 1. If we go back to night 1. It is the main event where... There we go. Where El Desperado defeated, where Titan, I should say, defeated El Desperado. And I was so stoked watching this match. I finished watching this after Resurgence. Like I had a few matches left on night one of the Best of Super Juniors. And then and I finished them up after watching Resurgence. Not immediately after, but once I was done with Resurgence. And I was ready for just like anything. I'm just like, and Hiromu versus Kushida was good. Was very good. Well, very good. It was quite good. I give it 3.25 stars. But Desperado, Titan, fast-paced, creative, high-flying, hard-hitting. Everything you love about junior heavyweight wrestling, right? These guys delivered a tremendous performance to, on night one, already set the bar for the rest of the tournament. Like, this is the first great match of the tournament. This is the bar upon which everyone else will be judged. Hell, Titan even beat Despe with the same finishing move that ended El Desperado's tournament last year in the semis. So you're even getting your storytelling in this. On top of that, it's a great match. And Desperado tries his best to end the match with numero dos. He tries to get he's trying to get his, try to give Titan his comeuppance. So you beat me with the submission last year. I'll beat you with the submission this year. But holy shit, didn't get it done. Great stuff. Great show. A great match that was desperately needed on night one, which really felt low energy. But that being said, that crowd, what was the venue again? What was the venue for this? The crowd in that venue was so, we're so sleepy. And it's not a crowd, it's not a venue they run very often. I think it's a new venue. The Yohas Arena in Chiba, Japan. And a sleepy ass crowd. I'm just like, Everyone was like trying to wake up, So, that probably doesn't help the energy levels, right? I can get that. But then on night two, on the 13th, well, then you're in Cork and Hall. Now there's no excuse. And I guess, a lot of people get excited. People still get excited going to Cork and whatnot. So, the vibe was different. The matches were different. There was a whole different energy to it. But definitely on night one, and I recommend it, checking out Titan and El Desperado. As it pertains to night two, well, you've got two of them. Again, El Desperado, he's in the mix here, defeating Kosei Fujita, getting his first 2 points on the board. Tremendous match. Again, another tremendous match. They from the get-go, they just want to hurt each other. They just want to go after each other. This was a match of two guys who just wanted to beat each other up. And you can't not be into that, right? They trap themselves into leg bars and they roll to the floor, hanging on to the holds as they hit the ground. And they're trying to get the other guy to submit on the ground, but the referee's doing the count. And then they get back into the ring and they chop each other. They pull submissions on the floor again. It's tremendous. And Fujita's leg is being worked over, and he has this terrific sequence, okay, where he's reversing out of numero dos. He's transitioning out of moves, in and out of moves, into some kind of trap submission. Just like Fantastic stuff. Then there's this incredible attrition as they pummel each other. You know, Despe on top of that, he locks in a vicious numero dos that gets the win. Another killer match for Despe. Already in, 2 matches in, 2 great matches. And this is Fujita's best match post-graduation. This is absolutely his best match. Just a tremendous effort. Now, you know, looking at the standings right now, I think we all could have hoped that Fujita would have scored another win here, but you know, I'm still thinking, you know, he got his win on night 1, and that's fine. But I think that, you know, they're going to do the thing that they usually do with first timers, is that, you know, this is his first Best of Super Juniors. He's going to come in and he's going to have some good moments, but he's going to lose overall. Like we talked about last week, he's not really highly positioned on the card, really. You know, he's mostly lower mid card, and that's usually a sign that he's not going to go anywhere. So it's not going to be his big year this year. Might not even be next year. Might be the year after that, kind of thing, depending on how things go. And the other match that is worth your attention is Hiromu Takahashi versus Doki. Right now, I think on this entire roster, Doki is the guy who's able to bring out the spark in Hiromu Takahashi. Where I'm a big Hiromu guy, but Hiromu sometimes, you can tell he's just going through the motions. He's doing his thing, you know, not low effort, but not max effort either. Mid effort. And I think Doki has a combination here. He has a solution to this puzzle to get Hiromu Takahashi back on track, kind of thing. I think he's cracked the code. Either that or Hiromu really likes Doki and wants to really help elevate him, or both. I thought this match ruled. They fight in the stands. Of course, the crowd gets lit up. Big Doki contingent in Korakuen as well. They were chanting loud for our boy. He has a tremendous sequence of big moves, and they're dropping each other with Germans and lariats, and the crowd is into it, and I'm into it, and they're into Doki, and I'm into Doki, and they're pulling everything out that they can, trying to hit their big moves, and they're just reversing out of each other's moves. They all have answers for it. They're comboing out of it. The story here of this match is how alive Korakuen was for Doki. Just amazing. Hiromu tries to fight out of the Doki Choki at the end of the match, but he's spent. He tries to lift Doki and he can't. I fucking love this finish. He's trying to lift him, but he's got the legs here, the feet around his neck, and Doki's pulling on his arms, and Hiromu's trying his best, and he's trying to pass out, but no, he's getting another surge, and he's got a surge of energy, and you're like, oh, okay, he's gonna lift him this time, but no, he doesn't. He tries a couple of times. He tries twice to get out of the predicament, but Doki's hanging on to it. He's hanging, and Hiromu starts frothing at the mouth. The referee calls the match. Doki wins with Hiromu just dying in the Doki Choki. That's tremendous. I fucking love the finish. I thought the finish was great. Because you really thought, oh, here comes the tropes. But no, Hiromu was spent. Doki had his move cinched in too well. There was no way out. There was no way out. I thought that was a great finish. I gave that match 4 stars. 4.25 stars for Desperado Fujita. I'll get it. And 4 stars for Hiromu Duki. And night 2 overall was a blast. I thought it was a good show. Easy to watch. I thought it was an easy watch. Good effort. Fun stuff. You know, here's a couple of observations overall. I think Kevin Knight is a great prospect, but he is not going to make it in New Japan. He's going to at some point, someone else is going to scoop him up. That, you know, he's not, they're not going to, and it's a shame because they should keep him around because I think he improves every time you see him. And he's already good at what he does. But he's going to come in, he's going to do this tour, and then he's going to disappear till the next tour, till, you know, Junior Tag League. Then he's going to come back. That's that. But they're not going to use him in the meantime. But I thought he looks great. Ninja Mac, I think, has been looking very good as well. I think his night 1 match was a little sloppy, but his night 2 against Francesco Akira, I thought it was that was a fantastic sprint of moves. It was a short match, high speed stuff. Ninja Mac wins with the Phoenix Splash. Just fun stuff, you know? A fun sprint, great energy. Stuff that I'd like to see out of the fucking heavyweights. Not on the same level, with the same speed, but you get what I mean. Energy. Enthusiasm. Happy to be at work. Dragon Dia has, as I said, I haven't been as exposed to him as a lot of people have. You know, people who follow Dragon Gate, obviously, but a lot of people I knew were very excited that Dragon Dia was added to the tournament. I think I see it, but I need to see more of him. I'm not saying he stinks. I just think he hasn't been in proper showcases yet to fully demonstrate what he's capable of. And Drilla Maloney, man. We were using the term cracking codes and whatnot. What happened to this guy? Looks like a fucking superstar. The way he presents himself, he handles himself. There's something completely different about him in this tournament, where I'm looking at him like, I'm sort of taken aback. I'm like, this guy has star written all over him. Where has this guy been hiding? He's on the losing end of the tournament right now. He's had some good matches. It's been solid, but just his appearance, the way he handles himself. He's not going around doing goofy ass, not doing the fucking asinine, oh, the belt is a dick, kind of thing. He's swinging it between his legs. No, he gets in the ring with Robbie Eagles, and they have a fun little match. He looks like a goddamn star. Titan's incredible. That's just par for the course. And right now, El Desperado is 100% the MVP of this tournament. You're asking me, at this stage, 2 nights in, I'm telling you, ask me who should win more, and it's this guy. He's already been part of he's already established the baseline and then met his baseline with another great match. So I don't know what to tell you. El Desperado rules. He's always ruled, but he's kind of reminding people. A really funny thing. All Heat, Blake Christian comes out on his first match on the He comes into his first match on the 11, which was against. What's his first match against? Clark Connors. Comes out, first match, Clark Connors. And he goes to this, it goes like this to the audience. No, not yay. Boo, boo me. And I'm like, that's fucking lame. If you want the audience to boo you, don't ask them to do it. Get in the ring, do heel shit. Make the crowd turn on you. Why? It's such a fucking indie move. I don't know, like he's, that's his principal place of work. I get it, even though he's in the tournament representing Ring of Honor. But it's like, it's such a basic ass move. Indie coming in, asking the crowd to boo you instead of getting into the ring and doing your thing so that you earn boos from the crowd, so that they turn on you and vociferously show their disapproval of your methods. I thought that, wasn't a fan of that. I thought it was kind of corny. Made him look like a geek. And here's another question I had. Because he wins his first match against Clark Connors by doing with the low blow, right? Let me have the note here. No, wait, he had a brass knucks in his trunks, in his tights, and he knocks out. The ref's not looking, and he knocks out Clark Connors and gets the win. And I'm sitting there asking myself, do we need another rule-breaking shit heel? Do we need another one? We've already got, Bullet Club in this tournament. You got Clark Connors, you got Maloney, you have Kanemaru of House of Torture, you got Sho of House of Torture, you've got Taiji Ishimori, I forgot about him in Bullet Club, and Hayata is also one of those. Did we really need another one of these heels that'll just throw in all kind of international objects and depend on interference or whatever the fuck? Ref bumps, low blows. Nothing original came out of this. Nothing. That was not, nothing. I looked at it as like, Jesus Christ, why are we doing this? Where are the heels just getting heat for being heels instead of, using skullduggery to get to get the wins? We've already got we've got more than enough guys in this tournament already doing that shtick. And now he comes in and he does the same thing. He didn't do it on night 2. That being said, maybe a producer, whatever the fuck they have in Japan. Management came and said, hey, you know what? You're not going to do that moving forward. Yeah, but I'm a heel. Yeah, find another way to be a fucking heel. Because we already got all of our guys pulling out wrenches and shillelaghs and all this fucking bullshit. We don't need your bullshit on top of that. You know what I like? All the heels are the same. All the heels are the same, essentially. And that's kind of annoying. When does the tournament continue? When does the tournament continue? Answer me, goddammit. May 15. So after I'm done recording this. So it'll already be old news. It will already be old news. Yeah. That'll be the next show. in Niigata, Region Plaza, Joetsu. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. But look, right now, I find Mr. Super Juniors is off to a pretty good start. Bit of an iffy night one. Night two was a lot better. Night two was a lot of fun to watch. And here's the other thing. Lots of matches, but they're short. The main events fiddle around 20 minutes. You're not sitting there sitting through 30-minute, 35-minute slogs. The undercard matches, 10 minutes, 6 minutes. Sometimes you get 6, 7 minutes. Sometimes you get 12. Good little diversity. It keeps you on your toes. Keeps the show flowing. It's good. And that's how we're going to end the weekly wrestling inspection. So there you have it, folks. Another edition of the weekly wrestling inspection. And the Mr. Warren Hayes show himself is all done. So we're about to hit the old dusty trail and talk to you next time. But before we do, please leave a like or a subscription if you're watching this on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, or a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, 5-star rating on Spotify. Any kind of love you can show. I'll be back Thursday for the Dynamite review, so be excited about that. Otherwise, I want to thank you all for watching me, and I'll see you next time.